How's it going, guys? Greg Ferris back here at Ferris Fitness, and today I'm going to be giving a review of my squat shoes, the Romaleos 2. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be really in detail. I'm going to try to cover all the questions I've gotten. So I'll see you guys in a few. Alright guys, let's get started. Again, I wanted to clarify my specific squat shoes were the Romaleos 2. So everything I'm going to be saying about this video is not going to be just about squat shoes, but about these specifically. I kind of made a little list so I can try to touch on everything. And again, like always, if you have any questions or comments, you can always just ask me in the description box below. So, I kind of started with the least important stuff and then went to the stuff I thought was more important. So, number one I want to talk about was style of the shoe. Obviously, you know, we live in a day and age where how it looks is pretty cool too. I'm not going to lie, it's one of the perks of the Romaleos, the Romaleo 2s. It's really, really stylish. I mean, I'm not going to lie. They do come in like an all black, which I thought was kind of plain, so I really was happy when I found these. But they come in all black. These are like the white and black, if you guys can see up close there. I'll kind of get some different angles of this. These are the white and black. These actually, you can't find these a lot of places. I found them on againfaster.com. But you'll probably mostly see the all green ones and then the all black ones. My client, I was going to say my friend, but now my client, Stephen Hall, actually just got the white, red, and black. So it's pretty similar to this, just has like some red trim. Those are better than mine, I'm not going to lie. But the white and black is pretty stylish. Again, I can't comment on the other ones, I never really had them. But to me, the all green is pretty flashy. I'm not that flashy of a dude. And the all black is kind of plain. So if I was going to spend a pretty little penny on these, I was trying to get something stylish. And again, they look pretty damn sweet. So I like that. I like the style, guys. Number two, I get this question a lot, the sizing of the shoe. So again, I got a 10, I'm pretty damn sure, yes. So I would recommend, if you have other Nikes, like I have Nike Frees from like a year, like 3 years ago. These are still an awesome shoe though. If you have other Nikes, just go with that. Because I wear 10 in all my Nikes, and these fit perfectly. If you don't have any Nikes, I'd recommend, you know, trying to find a Nike shoe to try on. Most people have some kind of Nikes. So I would just recommend though, they run true to size for Nikes. Again, if you typically wear like a Converse or an Adidas or something like that, make sure you understand that a 10 in Nikes and a 10 in Adidas and all of those things. And again, they fit like Nikes. They're not super wide, they're not super narrow. I've always just been a huge fan of Nikes, so that's why I went. Another reason why I went with them over the Audi Powers. But again, I wouldn't mess around with the size. A lot of people say like go a whole entire size smaller. I like my shoes kind of with some wiggle room, and especially like my casual shoes like these. So I could even get away with a 9.5. But again, these feel really tight. Again, they also have straps, so even if you get a little bit bigger, you can make them tighter. Again, most of my shoes, I could probably get away with 9.5, but it feels a little tight in there. So if you want, maybe go down a half size smaller if you really want a tight squat shoe. But for most people, I'd recommend just going with their regular Nike size. So number three, the value of the squat shoe of the Romaleos 2. So obviously, the downside of some of these really nice squat shoes like these and the Audi Powers are that they are not cheap. I'm a college student. I know exactly about that. By no means just rolling in money over here. So I dropped 150 bucks on these, I believe, back in December. I had a little bit extra money. I think it was December, January at the time. So again, I could financially do it. Again, they're not the most wise investment. 150 bucks is a lot of money for anything, especially a shoe. But the value for me, if you follow me, I squat 3, 4, 5 times a week now. So the value of a really, really good squat shoe is super high. Whereas if you're just a beginner and you barely even learned how to squat and you're squatting once a week, you're really not into it, you're not really into powerlifting. Another thing, I'm trying to compete in powerlifting in the near future, so a squat shoe is pretty much mandatory for that if you want to kind of optimize things. But if you're not that serious, again, spending $150 on a shoe, I wouldn't recommend. So unless you're really, really serious squatting, I would say at least twice a week. I mean, you can get away with something even barefoot for a while. I know I did. But again, I do think it will help you, but the value is they're pricey. I'm not gonna lie, with $150. And I got a deal with $150. Most of the Romaleo 2s you'll find online are a lot closer to $200. But they also do have other squat shoes, the Woo-Wee or something like that, like W-E-I or U-I, I believe. I was looking into those because they're like $60 or $70. I looked for like a month. I couldn't find them anywhere in my size. They just had them on like 5s and like 15s. So that's why I went ahead and got these. But they do, I believe, are now on maxbarbell.com. So I'll post a link below. Again, I think a good squat shoe is going to be a good squat shoe. The problem is they're not like running shoes. It isn't like there's 100 of them to pick from. So sometimes you do have to go with the more expensive stuff like the Nikes or the Adidas. There's not like 15 companies that make squat shoes, but I can't actually comment on those. I know my client Kyle Brubaker, I'll post his channel up here, just got them, so hopefully he'll do like a review on them or whatnot, but I've heard good things about them. I know Bryce Lewis wears them, Eric Helms wears them as well, so if you're looking for a little bit more economical shoe, have a look into those. So number 4, do they help? I really wanted to answer this question. It's probably the biggest thing I want to talk about. Yes, I definitely want to say they helped. I wouldn't say they directly correlated to like a bigger squat for me. Yes, my squat's gone up, but I'm also eating more. I'm also just strength gains in general. I don't think it's solely due to the shoe. But I do think they help. A squat just feels a little bit more natural. I'm not going to explain. I'm not even going to pretend like I know the whole science behind it. But again, just having that weight, if you ever have a shoe or a squat shoe, you'll feel how heavy they are, and it really just feels like you're kind of stapled down to the ground. So if I would try to squat like my Nike Frees now, even if I'm squatting just kind of, here, just squatting, I mean, I've been working my flexibility, mobility a lot, so it's pretty good. But when I put these on, it's just a different ball game. I don't know really how to explain it, but the external rotation I can get out of my hip is greater. Because again, anyone who's squatted before and really worked on their external rotation, you'll see that you're kind of limited by your flexibility, of course, but also by if your foot is coming off the ground. So you see a lot of people, they'll squat and their heels come off the ground, or even worse, maybe they'll tilt side to side. With these, they're so heavy and they have that weight back on the heel that you're really stable, and there's not a lot of wiggle around here. So when I externally rotate, I guess if you see here, when I externally rotate my knee, I'm not flipping my shoe. I'm staying down, and it still allows me, if you guys can see this, to externally rotate really well. So you can't really see my feet here, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. In a running shoe or even with barefoot, you kind of have that tendency for your ankle to roll when you're trying to externally rotate, whereas in the squat shoe, you're stapled down to the ground, so your foot is more supported. That allows you more external rotation and just for a more natural feel. I also think they help a lot if you do have a tendency to roll forward in your squat. So again, if you see people and they squat like this, you can't see me, but I'm on my toes, and they roll forward, having that extra weight on their back will allow them to sit back more, just easier. Again, it's not mandatory. Plenty of people have performed great squats without squat shoes, don't get me wrong, but I do think it will help in those two scenarios. Again, it just feels more stable, and so if you have problems with your squat, I really recommend looking into them because they can just kind of fix things. I know that's one of the main reasons why I actually pulled the trigger on them, because I had that just really bad. I have really tight ankles too. It's not just from not having squat shoes, but I was just having that rock forward every time when I would get up above like 315, which is like moderately heavy for me. I would just kind of have that heel jump up every single time. I also had a lot of problems I still kind of do with the vagus collapse. So what that means is you'll get in the squat, you'll come down, right, and then whoosh, as soon as you're in the hole, your knees just shoot in. Squat shoes help a lot with that too. So if you have those two problems with kind of that just forward shift in your knee and your heels coming off the ground, they're really helpful. And if you have Vegas collapse, they're really helpful because again, I talked about that feeling like you're stapled to the ground and allowing that external rotation is really helpful. So that's kind of my spiel on do they help and how they help. But again, I'm not pretending to be like an expert on squat shoes by any means. Those are some of the things that I really noticed they did help me with. Number 5, the comparison. I can't really compare them to like the Audi Powers or the Weeroos or whatever they're called, like I said, because I haven't had another squat shoe. But to me, they were definitely worth the money. It's hard for me to say that $150 spent on a pair of shoes is worth the money. But again, guys, they make me feel more confident in my squat. Again, I talked about all the things that help me with my rotation, help me sitting back and all of that. I don't think I'll ever squat again without at least some form of squat shoe. So, number 6 I had was, do you need them, and if so, when? I kind of went through that. I don't think you need a squat shoe. Like I said, if you're having some issues with your squat, obviously try to tackle that with like mobility stuff too. If you have a problem with your squat, it's probably not just because you have a squat shoe, and if you put on a squat shoe, hooray, you're going to be perfect. Even me, when I got my squat shoe, a lot of things I needed to work on to improve it, but it can be a piece in the puzzle to help you get to a more effective squat. But like I said, it's really dependent on how serious you are. If you've only been training for a few months, I don't recommend a squat shoe unless you can get something really cheap, because again, I don't think it's a good investment. And if you spend $150, $200 on squat shoes and you get into weightlifting, and then a few months later you're out of it, well, now you got $200 that you could have spent on something else. So make sure you're serious about it. And also, like I said, if you're a bodybuilder or a powerlifter, that's a big deal. Bodybuilder is probably not so much necessary, even though that I kind of subscribe to you need to kind of train like a powerlifter regardless of your goals. You want to build muscle. That's a different video. But if you're a bodybuilder, probably not as important. If you're a powerlifter, pretty much mandatory. Even if you don't compete, if you really want to just work on your 1-rep maxes, I think that's where this shoe is really, really going to shine, especially for like high bar squatters. A few other things I wanted to note. I know some people like deadlift in them. I tried a few times, felt totally weird, so I don't recommend doing it. But again, you can play around with it if you purchase a shoe. And also, I've noticed they help a lot more with my front squats. And then if you're a high bar squatter as well, they help a little bit more. So I think the more narrow your stance is, and the more mobility it requires. So obviously a front squat when you're here and you have to be pretty much vertical on your descend, I think these are going to become a lot more helpful. Sorry guys, so if you're doing a front squat and you have to descend and you're more vertical, your feet are just naturally closer in, I think they're going to be a lot more beneficial than like someone like myself. I'm kind of a mid to low bar guy. My feet are still pretty narrow, but when I do experiment with like front squats, they make a world of difference. So, I mean, if you think about it, Olympic weightlifting shoes, that's what they do, front squats and snatches and things, where a lot of mobility is required. So, again, if you're a high bar squatter, I probably think they're a little bit more necessary than if you're a low bar squatter. So, those are my thoughts on the Romaleos, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also go like the Fairs for Fitness Facebook page. We just hit 250 likes, so really, really excited about that. That was one of my goals I have written up on my 2013 goals. By the end of June 30th, have 250 likes on my Facebook page. So things are going really well. Sorry it took so long to get this video up. I kind of just forgot about it. But yeah, those are my kind of really quick thoughts on the Romaleos. If you guys have any questions, make sure you shoot them to me in the comment box below. I'd also like to see what other people think about their different kind of squat shoes. And again, like I said, I don't really have any way to compare it, but I do think these are a great investment. I do not regret purchasing these squat shoes. So that's it, guys. I wanted to kind of give a non-biased review. So again, depending on who you are, what your needs are, all of those things, if they can help you or not help you. So if this video was helpful, give it a like, and that's it, guys. We'll see you next time.